Welcome to the Career Dev Podcast, where we help you navigate your career journey with clarity, courage, and confidence. Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Shroyer. I'm a career coach, professor, and your guide through the ever-changing landscape of work and life. In this month, I'm going to introduce you to something brand new, something I've been building based on the needs of hundreds of clients and students that I've worked with. It's called the 4C framework, and it's designed to help you figure out what you need most in your career right now. Because let's be honest, career growth, it's not a one size fits all. Some people, they feel very stuck and they need to get clear, and others know what they want, but they struggle to tell their story. Some are overwhelmed by networking, and others just need help keeping their momentum. And that's where the 4C framework comes in. So here's a quick snapshot for you. The 4Cs, the first one is C is for clarify, for when you're not sure what you want or you feel like you don't have direction. The second C is communicate, and this is for when you need to tell your story clearly through things like your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and the interview process. The third C is for connect, and this is for when you need to build and strengthen relationships that lead to opportunities. And then the fourth and final C is cultivate. And this is for when you're ready to grow, stretch, and stay sharp longer term. Each pillar meets you where you are and it guides you to what's next. And in today's podcast episode, we're starting with the very first one, clarify. If you're feeling stuck, unsure, or you're wondering what is next for me, know that you are exactly where you need to be today. Maybe you've been laid off, like me. Maybe you've hit a wall in the current role that you're in. Or maybe, and this one is a bit sneaky, you're technically doing well, but inside something feels off. You're tired, maybe you're questioning everything, and you're wondering, what do I actually want? If that sounds like you, I invite you to take a deep breath because you are definitely in that clarify stage. And it's the most important place to be. So let's talk a little bit more why having clarity even matters. So without clarity, job searching really becomes reactionary versus being proactive in the process. You end up applying to jobs that you don't want. You may accept interviews that don't really excite you. And you could even say yes to an opportunity that doesn't really move you forward for where you want to go. I have seen this time and time again with my clients and even in my own career, I'll admit. The people who take time to really pause and reflect, even briefly, even if it's for a brief pause, they typically end up finding roles that are more aligned, more sustainable, and fulfilling. And I can tell you absolutely 1,000%, I had to really go back through this clarify stage, even after 27 years in my corporate experience when I unexpectedly got laid off, to try to figure out, do I want to keep doing some of those things that I have been doing work-wise, or do I want to look at this as an opportunity? I will tell you that the truth is you don't need a 5-year plan. You really just need your next right step. So being in the clarify stage doesn't mean that you're doing nothing. It may feel like it and it may feel heavy inside. It means you're doing that internal work that a lot of people skip, but it's so essential and it's going to pay dividends later. It may not feel like it today, and it may feel like you're stalling yourself. So let me give you a few signs that you could be in this clarify mode. The first one is maybe you're feeling overwhelmed with all of the options that you have, and it feels like there's no option that fits. Another sign is maybe you're questioning what you even want anymore. So even for me, after getting laid off and starting to do the application process for several jobs, I stopped myself and was like, do I even want this again? Do I want to go back into this kind of environment? And I've heard numerous clients do that as well and really pause and think through that. Another sign is that you're craving more meaning, you're craving growth or purpose in your work. There are several clients that I've talked to, especially in the last 6 months, that they are more focused on fulfilling that inner happiness and that sense of purpose than it even may be about the paycheck anymore. Granted, you need money to pay the bills. And so you either have to figure out, what is your financial stability, what's going to help you, and where you need to be. But it also gives you insight when you start looking and when you start doing this work is how much can you even flex? And even for me, I surprised myself to see financially how much can I even flex to make sure I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. And then the last line I want to cover is maybe you feel like you've outgrown your current role, but you don't know what's next. You're unsure of what's out there, what the possibilities are. I have heard people before tell me I don't feel like I have any skills. And the more I get into those conversations with them, the more we realize, oh my gosh, you are so freaking smart. You have all kinds of skills. You bring so much to the table, and you have so much experience too. So if it feels like you have outgrown what you're currently doing and you're not sure what's next, this is definitely the stage that you're in. So being in the clarify stage, again, it's not a bad place to be. It can actually be incredibly powerful because it means you're ready and you're open for alignment and thinking differently and starting to dive into what could that look like. All right, I'm going to share a quick story with you that I had found online. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't have the specific source where the story originated from, but I have totally seen clients that have gone through this and talked them through the process. So let me share this with you. So, a career coach was working with a client. Let's call her Annabelle. Annabelle had been laid off and she immediately jumped into her job search. She sent out over 50 job applications in the first 2 weeks, but every time she met with her career coach, she seemed even more drained. So her coach asked her to take a pause. They spent one session, just one session together, exploring what energized Annabelle the most in her last role, the values that were important to her, and what she absolutely did not want to repeat. I often do this exercise where we talk about deal breakers as part of it. So a couple weeks later, she started to show up differently. She wasn't applying to every single thing anymore. She was targeting roles that were a fit, and she eventually landed a job she wouldn't have even considered before. Clarity really changed the game for her, and it can definitely do the same for you. I can tell you when I was laid off and I started into the job search, I was posting for jobs that were exactly like what I had been laid off from, even though I was so much more qualified to do so many other things. And somebody had sent me a job that was posted, and they said, I can totally see you in this job. And it was a job position that I would have never thought of previously. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this would be so fun. This would be so cool. And I did apply for it and I didn't get that job, but it opened my eyes to look at what are some of these different types of positions out there that are available. And I can tell you the job that I ended up taking is completely different from what I was doing full time before I was laid off. And I don't know if I would have gotten to that point as quickly or at all if I hadn't started to think differently about what those opportunities might look like and to really sit in that clarify stage and think through it. All right, so I want to offer you 3 questions, and maybe these are journal prompts for you or reflection to think through. Maybe it's meditation that works for you. But these are 3 questions you can explore this week to help you begin building clarity, whether you're just starting a search or maybe you're in the middle of one. So, my first question for you is what energizes me, even a little bit? And this is not what you're good at, not what pays the most, but it's what gives you a spark, what lights you up, and that you are so passionate about. So, what energizes you even a little bit? So, think about that. Second question for you: what am I no longer willing to tolerate in my career? So, I want you to think about what drains you or what pulls you out of alignment. And I can tell you from a history in corporate, there were a lot of things on my list for that one. And I had to really think through, like, as I move into the next role, wherever that is, if it is corporate again, or if it is something completely different, which it ended up being, what am I no longer willing to tolerate in my career? So take some time to think through that. And the third one is, if nothing were off limits, what kind of work would I be curious to explore? You don't have to commit, just follow the thread of curiosity in this case. And again, this question is, if nothing were off limits, what kind of work would I be curious to explore? And what's really interesting and what I have found on my own research as well as with other career coaching clients is when we start to think about like this land beyond of this, if there was no limits, what might we do? We can start to take that and really dive deeper and explore what may be some opportunities. And a lot of times we don't even know that these exist. We've never heard of them. And sometimes it takes some digging or us making a comment or a post or anything like that to somebody else. And all of a sudden we get the spark and understand what is out there. So you can reflect on these, whether it's in a journal, maybe you do voice memos or voice notes, or even have a conversation with a friend or a family member. The point is, I want you to get it out of your head and into the world. Nobody has to read that journal if that's what you choose, or listen to that voice note if that's what you choose. Maybe you ask that friend or family member to keep that conversation between the two of you. Maybe you have a more public conversation with other people about it. That's completely up to you. But I really want you to not let it get stuck in your head, to put it out there in some format so you are thinking through it. Now, if you're thinking, okay, this sounds helpful, but how do I know if clarify is where I should focus right now? Because we did talk about in my introduction, I talked about there's 4 C's in the framework. Clarify is the first one that we're covering. How do you know if clarify is where you should focus? Well, I created something for you to help tell you. It's a free tool and it's called What's Your Career Direction? It's an assessment. It's very short, very simple, and it's going to help you identify which of the 4C pillars you need most right now. Maybe that's clarify, like we talked about in this episode. Maybe that's communicate, which we'll talk about in the next episode, connect, or even cultivate. So you can actually take this assessment by visiting www.tracyshroyerphd.com/assessment. So it's TracyShroyer.PhD.com/ASSESSMENT. And once you take that assessment, you'll be able to submit your email and you'll get personalized tips, tools, and even some freebies based on what the results are of your assessment. So if you're in a season of uncertainty right now, I want you to please know this. You are not broken. You are not behind. You do not need fixed. You are at the start of something, and that something begins with clarity. There is no shame in not having all the answers. There's actually power in asking better questions and being brave enough to pause before we rush into action. I feel like as a society, we've been conditioned to do that. Once something happens, you're reacting and going from there. Sometimes we're given things in our life, whether it's you happening to listen to this episode, maybe it's you getting laid off, maybe it's you deciding that you are in a toxic work environment and that you needed to leave or you're leaving, for you to take that moment and that pause and start to become proactive. It's your career, it's your life, it's your journey. You have got this, and I'm totally here to walk with you. I look forward to sharing more about the 4C framework and the upcoming podcast episodes, and invite you to visit the website at www.tracyshroyerphd.com for more insight, more resources, both free and paid, as well as insight into the services that are offered. I encourage you to take a look at those resources that are free, which you can easily access through the menu. And you can request those. And once you request those, you get added to the email list. And I'll be sending out weekly emails starting in the month of April 2025. And I have some amazing things coming up to help you. And if it wasn't for my ability to work with hundreds of career coaching clients over the years, if not for that, I would not have come up with this 4C framework. And I am so excited when I finally things clicked and they came together just in the beginning of 2025. I thought, oh, like this is it. And this is how we're going to get moving and support even more people and help more people exactly where they are and with what they need. Because it's not a linear process at all. It's going to be different for each and every one of you. So I'm excited to be on this journey with you and supporting you, and I will catch you on the next episode.